Okay, good evening and welcome to the Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for April 26, 2021. This meeting is remote participation only, and we'll do first a roll call attendance vote for the board.
Art Mottman is here.
KG Dudley, aye.
Eric Harris, aye.
Mark Mungem's here.
And Tracy Sharkey. That's all we got. Okay, so Mike's the only one missing. Okay, first item on the agenda is a notice of intent for 35 Wall Street. So the Town of Douglas Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on April 26, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. for a notice of intent filed by Anthony and Denise Brookhouse located at 35 Wall Street, West Mass, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw, the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work involves the construction of a single-family house, guest house, swimming pool, terrace, boathouse, 2 docks, septic system, and the paving of an existing gravel driveway within buffer zone 2 bordering vegetated wetland. Public participation will be via virtual means only pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Douglas Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation. The public may participate in this meeting via remote participation. A website for the meeting will be provided on the conservation agenda, posted on the town's website at least 48 hours prior to the meeting. Copies of the notice of intent may be examined electronically by contacting the Conservation Commission, 508-476-4000, extension 205. Okay.
Good evening. This is Scott Goddard, Goddard Consulting. What's that?
Oh, no, the time was actually correct in the advertisement, Steve.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I posted it incorrectly. Okay, good.
Don't worry about it. Okay, all right, go ahead. Name and
I was going to
address.
ask Mr. Brookhouse. Yeah, Mr. Brookhouse is the applicant. Tony, did you want to introduce yourself and the team, and then I can go through the project?
Sure. I'm Tony Brookhouse. That's my wife, Denise. And you met most of you all out there last year. If you can believe it, it's been a year already.
Yeah.
These crazy times. I mean, I know our business has been, it's just surreal times trying to get things done in this crazy environment. But thank you very much for all of you guys to have gone out there and to see this site. And we never thought we'd be in this situation where we had to tear down the house, and now we're here, but we're glad to be here. And Denise and I are excited about the plans and our forever home. So we're excited about that. We never thought we'd leave Whitensville. In fact, I don't think our parents have fully grasped that yet. So with our roots here in Whitensville, but I think we're getting really excited about it, and we've got a great team. Any questions? Mark Allen is our engineer. Goddard Consulting is here. I also have the representative from Lakeview Marine to talk about any questions you guys might have about the dock and just how it rests on the ground. Nothing penetrates the sand. It just sits on feet, and how it attaches. So Rory is here to answer any of your questions on that. And then, I mean, Denise and I are here to answer any questions you guys might have, or talk as long as you want.
So this is Scott Goddard. Thank you, Tony. This is Scott Goddard. I'm a professional wetland scientist and owner of Goddard Consulting. I'll present the initial project and open it up for discussion. Now, it's worthy of note that DEP has not yet issued a DEP file number. They have some brief comments on their website. And it's also worth noting that the Conservation Commission has engaged the services of Art Allen at Ecotech for peer review. Art has scheduled a site walk for this Friday. So we don't expect that this conversation will close out tonight, and but we'll at least get the ball rolling. I think that's great that you shared your screen, because I was just about to do the same thing, but I think this map here will work just fine. So what we're looking at here is a site right on Witten's Reservoir, 35 Wallace. It's an existing developed site that has an existing single-family house in the approximate location of where this new one is proposed in pink, right about where that cursor is. There is existing lawn infrastructure around the house, which is largely to the extent of the white area, not quite all the way to the extent of it. There's an open vista out to the reservoir on the plan. That would be the upside of the plan. And there's an existing sort of dock situation where there's been historical docks placed in the water. Now, the wetland resource areas I'll go over first before we introduce the proposed project. So that's great. If you could scale out a little, zoom out a little bit like that. So we delineated the wetland resource areas on site, and the area shaded in green is bordering vegetated wetlands. It largely surrounds the knoll or the island that, as it were, that's the house site. Much of the rest of the site is bordering vegetated wetlands. Then, of course, you have the bank of the reservoir, which is shown there outlined in blue. And then the stream channel that's labeled on the left-hand side of the site plan, or the western edge of the site, is a stream that comes across from the road on the other side and discharges into the reservoir. The stream was something that was noted by DEP, and I'm sure will be a point of discussion with Art as well. So graphically on the USGS maps, this stream shows as a perennial stream. Last year was the first year we were involved in this site, and the observations that we made of the stream were that in our opinion, this is likely best classified as an intermittent stream and therefore not subject to the Rivers Act. The problem that we had with that assessment is that we, of course, incurred a drought situation last year. And though the stream was dry for much of last year, the only opportunity for us to take those documentation pictures were during a DEM declared drought, which by the letter of the law doesn't satisfy the overcoming the presumption. However, it was dry for such a long time and the watershed of this is relatively small. The size of the channel is small. That is my assumption that this stream would normally go dry in a non-drought year as well. We just haven't had the chance to create those kind of graphics, but I would like to present a case to the commission that it's reasonable based on the watershed and direct observations of last year to consider this situation a intermittent stream. Now, the worst case scenario from a regulatory perspective is demonstration of redevelopment standards for riverfront area. And if we have to go there, we could, but I'd rather keep the discussion at the level of evaluating it as an intermittent stream and therefore not subject to the rivers regulations. The proposed project is what's presented to you on the site plan. Okay, so as you look at it, the graphics that are shown here is the setbacks, the limit of the 25-foot and the 50-foot buffer zones are shown there. If you could, I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit, but those are the orange lines is 50 feet. The inner orange line is 100 feet, and 25 feet is partly colored in, partly not colored in, and or a limit of work in the purple line. So what we're proposing to do is more or less take down the existing infrastructure, the house, surrounding appurtenances, and some of the lawn area, regrade the site, construct a new single-family house. The majority of the house itself and garage will be outside a buffer zone altogether in this very centered portion of the site. Some of the surrounding extensions of the house, patios, pool, and accessories would be located between 50 and 100 feet, all on existing lawn areas. There's no trees are proposed to be removed in this project. There was some tree removal that took place in previous years, and that happened along with the removal of the house that was pre-existing that is not currently present. We would also need to install a new septic system, and that's shown there to the north outside of the 50-foot buffer zone compliant with Title V requirements. In addition to the redevelopment of the house site, if you could zoom a little, scan that plan a little to the north, in the other direction toward the river, to the reservoir, There's an existing path that goes down to the water's edge where there's historically been docks. There was an RDA submitted about a year ago to put in a new dock, and that was granted a negative determination of applicability along with some tree removal. The tree removal has taken place, but the docks that are proposed here are slightly different than what was proposed in the RDA. So we're showing those as part of this notice of intent, though in substance, the commission has already dealt with this issue at hand of dock. We're proposing now 2 docks in slightly different locations. In addition to that, what's shown in pink is a proposed boathouse that would be installed on pilings for the storage of water dependent equipment. That would be elevated above the ground. Right next to that, yep, in that zoom in picture, we show for the purposes of the construction of this, though it would not be sitting on the ground and therefore not directly itself fill any wetlands. This plan does show 65 square feet of BVW alteration to allow upland pedestrian walking around the boathouse with 165 square feet of wetland replication out on this peninsula, which is largely used for the purposes of ingress and egress from the reservoir for recreational purposes. So that's sort of a broad view introduction to the project. I think we can open it up for discussion. Art Allen, I don't think is on the call, but he's scheduled to do a site walk with us on Friday. Mark Allen, the civil design engineer, he's on the call as well as the company who would be responsible for the dock installations. So with that, we'll turn it back to the commission for conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. Steve, did you want to start?
Oh. Yeah, so it's good to know, some of my concerns was, I wasn't sure if there's any additional clearing in the property. So that's good to know that, especially where the detached garage is going up in that area. So that's going in an area that's already been cleared. When it comes to, we can start with the riverfront area. So their DEP did have some questions, they actually, with their comments, that whatever information you have with them, because they made that note on the NOI that you're gonna have to verify with them that they satisfy their conditions also, was the stream stats. What I heard from DEP is that, one, it was a drought, it was during a drought situation. So the regulations are relatively clear with that. That you didn't meet the standard, even though it dried up within 4 days in a 12-month period because of the drought classification. And then the stream stats, even though you said the watershed wasn't that large, did you do a stream stat calculation that even with the stream stats, it would qualify as perennial under that?
That's a good question. I forget, Tim, did we include a stream stats analysis in our application?
Yes, hi, this is Tim McGuire with Goddard Consulting. No, we did not include the stream stats with the application.
Okay, and that's something we can look at and maybe submit. We were relying at this point on the observations from last year, and I'm not disputing the regulatory language there about the drought condition, but it's our opinion that in a non-drought condition we would see the same thing. So.
Right. So when it comes to 1058 in the riverfront regulations, we just have to, that was done in 96. You have to have, pretty much follow their regulations. So if DEP agrees with you, then that would give a little bit more further for the commission. And when looking at the project itself, looking at the project itself, is there a lot? There doesn't seem to be a lot of riverfront area in the project.
Steve, is that your dog?
So we don't show riverfront area on the site plan. That would, to have that discussion would require an update to the site plan with some analysis about work area within riverfront and such. For the purposes of this discussion, our initial presentation here is to sort of vet out the concept that we believe the stream is intermittent.
Yeah, I think the site walk with Art in our peer review is going to determine which way we're going, if you need to revise the plan or not.
I
and
understand.
the stream stat report. So I think that it's just the overall layout at this time, and I wouldn't even, go towards the riverfront area until we know either way for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, and some other comments, I mean, I can bring the plan back up. Let's see.
Why don't I go through the board and see if they have the same comments? Art? I muted you.
Yeah, I was wondering about the driveway and seem to remember when we walked it that it was kind of a gravel surface or a crushed stone or something, but is it going to be paved or what's the material? How long is it going to be? How wide is it going to be? Because the project was set in pretty far from the road. Does anybody have that information?
Mark, do you want to take that and discuss what the anticipated end product was of this driveway will look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Allen with Allen Engineering, civil engineer for the project. It's Tony and Denise's desire to change the final course of the driveway from gravel to pavement, just for ease of maintenance in the wintertime. They intend to use this all year round, not just in the summer. So they basically intend to take the current gravel surface from the street all the way up to the house.
Do they intend on using the existing width, or are you going to be expanding that?
Right now, it's probably measuring about 12 feet wide. I don't know, Tony, and Denise, if you have a desire to widen that at all at this point. The current plan just basically shows that the existing width to be paved.
No, so I mean, our intention is to keep it like the 12 feet wide, and then that circle that you see before the house would be some sort of pavers. That would be it.
So could we see on the revised plan, the actual width dimensions
Sure.
of the existing on the ground footprint? And then maybe
Absolutely.
just the widest, so we don't want someone to go in there if you're not asking for it to be wider, to pave wider than what's there. So we just need it called out on the plan, please.
Yep, will do.
And so this is actually, they took the foundation down, right? So this whole area has been cleared. So you're staying within the existing lawn area for all the work, all this disturbance work?
Yeah, that was the intent, Steve. So basically what we did was in working with the architect and the landscape architect in the project, we didn't want to add any additional fill to the property. We basically used the existing elevations that were there in the past and mirrored exactly the elevations that were there before. So we're not trying to bring in any additional fill for the project by any means. So the architect is comfortable with leaving the elevations where they were for the house and the foundation. And then as you can see, the patio sort of drops off from that area and the septic system sort of drops off from that area. It's all going to be sort of a natural grade transition from the house down to the reservoir.
And then this existing path that they cleared with the RDA, that's not being disturbed at all?
Correct. Yeah, the path that they have there today is the path that they're going to intend to use.
And so the only comment I had really is because you called out this culvert, and it's a little ambiguous. It says clean out and repair existing corrugated metal pipes. I'm not too sure what that means by repair. Are you ripping them up and replacing?
No, I apologize. We may be too brief on that explanation on the plan view, and we can be a little bit more elaborate on the plan revision. Basically, it just basically just want to be able to clean out the culverts if they get dirty.
Right.
We intend to leave the ones that are there now. We're not anticipating any additional flow, but as you know, over the course of time, with leaves and debris, things get clogged. We, Tony and Denise just want the ability to be able to go in there and just clean out those existing culverts. No remove and replace right now, just basically routine maintenance in the future.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it was the repair that kind of threw me off.
Gotcha.
Remove that word if you're not actually doing any repairing, if you
Yep.
just clean that out.
And
I
then
guess that's my fault, you guys, because with our Uxbridge store, we have a river or a brook right behind our Uxbridge store, and we have to clean that out to maintain how it flows underneath Route 16. And if you don't put the word repair in there, we get in trouble. So I thought I was being right.
Some of the other issues, just, I know you got Wattos planned around here, and maybe Mark, which is just something, a little bit, it's, it's a little steep.
Mhm.
And then everything flowing during construction, it can be a mud pit. It might be a
Yep.
mud pit for a period of time. That may be something a little bit more, some BMPs, I don't know, silt fence and traditional hay bales, and not the entire area, but the areas that are promulgated to a little bit more silt and runoff heading through them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, Steve. We can definitely in the area of that, the slope just off the patio area. Yeah, in that area there, that probably has the highest chance of erosion during construction, as well as the septic system area of erosion. So yeah, I think we can bump that up and beef up the BMPs in those areas.
And then,
It would almost be against the silt fence because it's making more disturbance within very close. So either double row or, the straw bales.
Yep,
I don't
absolutely.
Toe in because everybody's saying it's creating more, you're right at the 25. What do you see, Steve?
well, I think this is part of the existing, it's part of the existing lawn, I think. It's
Yeah,
not disturbing it. It's just really during construction. It's,
Right.
it's not going to take much for this to either channel down into the wetlands or channel down into the pond itself. And if this whole area is constructed at one time, all it takes is a heavy rainstorm, and it's such a slopey hill.
mhm.
So that I think all it's proposed, and no fault of theirs, is just, traditionally it's that little fiber log,
Mhm.
which,
The 12-inch compost stock, but even a double row or our straw bales to double it up versus using a ditch witch right on the
Yeah.
25 on both sides.
right.
And then there's even more chance by towing it in. I don't know, what I've been seeing.
So if Mark takes a look at it, if you can suggest something that's a little bit advantageous,
For
then.
security for the silt.
Absolutely.
And then down here at the, well, there's two things with the docks. It's not, the concern, well, I'll work with the docks first. The concern is, and I think DEP might have had a comment on this, that I don't think it's a great pond, but it's the issue with, a lot of people would like, well, Manchak Pond, they have to get Chapter 91 licenses and stuff. And I don't think that's the case. And
No,
there might have been a determination, but it's the length of the pond, especially at night, that I don't know. We really haven't come in a situation where we've had 50-foot docks that project out into the lake. I don't know whose jurisdiction that would be, but that'd be something you might want to look at. And then the construction of it, if they're floating, or how they're getting mounted to the bottom of the pond.
yeah, so why don't we have the consultant speak to the dock since we're here?
Sure, I'd love to jump in. So I was out there last fall and looking at the depth of the pond, and I know we do quite a few docks on Manchag. Most areas around the pond gets very deep quickly, so there's not a need for docks to be that long. However, in the case here where this is at that 50-foot mark out there, you're only in a few feet of water, so it's not really boatable, other than at a no wake type of a thing, or a kayak, paddle boat, that type of stuff. That's the reason for that depth. It's so rocky at the shoreline there with the cut in and the way the point comes out into the land, or the way the point comes out into the water, that it really doesn't drop off fast enough until that probably 40 to 50-foot mark to safely dock a boat in wind and wave situation, especially in a year like last year with drought. I mean, the boat would be whacking its motor off the bottom, trying to coming into the docks. So that's the reason why we did the length that we did.
Could you state your name and address for the record?
Yeah,
please?
it's Rory Duquette. I'm from Lakeview Marine in Webster, Massachusetts. It's 311 Thompson Road.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then there's details of the dock and the type of construction, the methodology have been
So
submitted.
the docks that we do are all engineered dock systems. The breakdown basically is they're all aluminum frames, they're aluminum. All the stuff that's in the water is aluminum, minus a foot pad bolt on every single foot is a combination. It's a stainless bolt with a brass nut, because stainless seizes in the water. It does not penetrate the earth at all. It's a footpad that sits on the surface of the earth. Same thing with the ramp connection to shore. It's basically hinged, rests upland of the high water mark, and just rests on shore. So we're not disturbing the ground in any way, shape, or form. We do probably roughly about 3,000 new feet of dock a year, and installs and removals all over central Mass and southern New England.
Are they stationary or they float with the level of the water?
Here they're stationary because of the level of the water.
Right.
We do floating as well, but there's no need for it in the shallow water.
Are they gonna plan on removing them because of ice damage in the winter?
Yep.
Or?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it is a shallow. I understand why they're doing it. It's the shallowest part of the lake, and why it's just. I'm not sure if that's something that has to be because of the size of it. That was
To the best of my knowledge, whether it's a great pond or not, the state permit without going to a commercial or a long form permit is 75 feet. So I know there are some towns that have written bylaws in exception to that have shortened it. But to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe Douglas ever has. So.
And then, the fire pit and then new stairs, is there any detail on that? Looks like, is that something that's?
Yeah, that was sort of my shortness of text. There's an existing fire pit there, and I'll elaborate on the revised plan. But there's an existing fire pit there. Basically, what Tony and Denise want to do is just keep the fire pit and just sort of add some stairs around it, and I can add a little bit more detail to the revised plan.
Okay, and then the boathouse. It's an unusual situation. We haven't come across this too often. It's just, there wasn't really much, for me, much detail exactly. I know you're on sonotubes, but 12 by 24, is it going to be like a canopy type? Is it enclosed?
Yeah, so
is it going to be like a glorified shed where people hang, the purpose of what's going to be inside of it? And
Yep, absolutely. And again, apologies for the short explanation on the plan, but it is like Scott mentioned earlier in the narrative, it's going to basically just house the water activities and their life jackets, their boat equipment, and it's not meant to be anything that has plumbing. It's going to be sitting on actually heliopiles and not sonotubes. That's one of our changes again to the plans. Heliopiles are a little bit less invasive to the ground. They're a steel cylinder that sort of corkscrews down into the earth just a couple of feet, and then the structure sits on top of those heliopiles. So we initially spec'd out sonotubes, which have a little bit more earthwork to do with them, with the digging and the excavation and the concrete. But we're actually going to put them on heliopiles instead. It'll be a wood structure. It'll have a roof over it. It'll have doors on it. It'll have a lock on it. And it's mainly for storage of boating equipment.
So no fuel or anything?
I'd have to ask Tony and Denise that. No.
No fuel.
I have a quick question. So no fuel. So at that projection, is there a reason why that flag is jutting out? I can't quite remember because do you think that you would not be able to qualify for the 500 fill without doing replication with that point there?
Are you suggesting that maybe we could qualify that as the 500 square foot finger light projection?
Yeah.
That's something we could take a look at that, because if your point, what's that?
There's a lot of wetland already, and the replication is so small, and I don't know, the survival rate of our replication as it is.
Yeah, no, I think your point is reasonable, and it's, it would be disruptive to build that replication area for very little return. So yeah, that's something we can take a look at for sure.
Okay. I just don't know why it's at a point. I didn't notice when we were out there initially.
It's fairly gradual.
Okay. So Steve, did you have any other questions about this area of the lot?
Well, I would, there, it looks like they're right up against the building setback line, so,
Mhm.
I would make sure that you talk to the zoning officer and the building, new and building inspector to make sure that, I'm not sure if this is surveyed in or, you don't want to be making sure how accurate it is. And then is there any reasons why you can't pull everything outside of the wetlands?
Yeah, so Steve, and great questions. Answers are, this was all surveyed in, all the building setback lines are based on the ground survey of the existing site infrastructure. So the existing ramp and the existing path are shown there in dashed lines. And basically what I was doing and Scott was doing, we were being conservative in typical situations when you place a building, there are people that are down there that are sort of moving around and building this structure. So we basically just sort of clipped that point and said 65 square foot of wetland alteration, albeit possibly temporary and underneath the building. We just wanted to be a little bit on the conservative side to say, it's going to be a little bit of work to build that structure, get that structure down there. But we fully intend on asking the building inspector, obviously for a permit down there. We're comfortable with the size and location. We couldn't move it any closer. We didn't want to move it further in, closer to the wetland, and we didn't want to move, encroach upon the existing path down to the ramp.
Can we just see the overall view, Steve, for a second, so we can see the buffers? So we don't have any, I mean, obviously it's 0 on one side, so the whole entire thing is 100% is within the 25 to 0, would you say?
Correct, and it's currently cleared at the current location. It's not that we're not going to be taking down any trees to
Okay,
put
just so
that
that
in.
the board is clear on, what we're authorizing. Okay, Katie, Grace?
Yeah, so I mean, I had definitely shared those concerns as well on both the structure that is, within, it's on top of a piece of wetland, whether or not that structure could be moved or resized even. I'm not so against the idea of a wetland replication. I think that they can work, but I also took issue, Tracy, with the location there at the point. I don't know that it stands a chance for survival as a replicated wetland in that location at the point there. And
Right on the water.
right, if there were to be a replication area, I would rather see it further, I'm going to say up, away from the water. I can't point out on the screen, but I mean, maybe closer to the walkway further up if there was a replication. But at that point, you're not replicating the same wetland because it's in a different location. Obviously, the ideal scenario would be moving the boathouse so that it's not impacting the wetlands at all. As for the rest of the plan, because I've got it open on my other monitor, understood that the area is cleared. For sure, appreciate that we did a site walk before, otherwise I'd be lost out here. I don't know that I have too much of an issue with, I believe, with the septic system down here. I just, with the amount of lawn space that there is, I guess I'm just wondering what the engineering thought plan was, putting it as close to the reservoir as it is when there's space closer to the house. Is it the well? Is it?
It's definitely a combination. Again, great question. Combination of where the house is, where the patio is, the setbacks to those items, and the pitch. We tried to keep the house and the guest house as close to existing grade as we possibly could. So when we went out and did the soil testing, we basically did a sort of a systematic grid to find out what elevation will work best with the topography and won't need as much fill.
I want to jizz in your ass while you crying. Booty for selling, you know that I'm buying.
Can we remove Alex Davis, please? someone? Cable? Cable?
Trying to find him, sorry.
I put him in a waiting room.
Great
Removed
job,
him.
everyone.
Were you sleeping?
No, I was trying to find him on the list and he wasn't coming up.
Okay, all right. I'll put him in the waiting room and then you can get rid of him if I see it again. Okay, sorry, everybody.
No problem at all. So that basically engineering wise is we basically captured the grade as soon as we could before the reservoir and kept as natural of a topography change from the existing topography at the house down to the lake.
Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, having that a little closer up would be nice, but if that's the ideal location based on the topography, then I can understand that. And then I guess just some clarification, because I've seen the site and it had, you know, the kind of wraparound round driveway. Is the driveway? I'm looking at the black lines here. Is the driveway a loop? Is it inside? Like, how much of this is paved?
Gotcha. So yeah, it's a little bit, I don't know who did the architectural rendition, but it's a little bit obscure. So that the exterior black line closest to the guest house is a landscape line. Yeah, that's a landscape line. So the
Okay.
internal line to that will be the pavement. Yep, that's the pavement.
My bad, sorry.
Okay.
That's okay, Steve.
No,
No,
that's fine. So then the
Yeah.
driveway
I need better
goes
clarification.
up to that circle. The
Yes.
whole circle is paved?
Correct. No, the
Same.
interior, the very interior of that circle will be a landscape area. Yep.
Okay.
So this is the driveway here.
The well is under the
Correct.
driveway.
Yeah, so the existing well we have chosen to keep. I think that might have been one of the comments from Steve earlier. We plan on keeping that existing well. It had quality and quantity. We'll show the extension from that line to the new house. The line was there to the old house. What we're going to do is simply add a steel frame and cover to that well so that we can keep it.
Sir, I have a question. Why do we keep the existing well?
I'm sorry, who's speaking? We're in the middle of the presentation. Sorry, you'll have to wait till we open it up for comment.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Mark, what is this here? Is this just lawn?
No, that will be paved. That's going to be that'll be driveway. Correct.
Also, you got bays here, you got bays here, and then bays.
Correct.
Cable, we got an
I'm
issue?
trying to remove them.
Okay, we got an issue here. 1 second, guys.
Trying to remove them. I'm doing as best as I can.
Thank you.
Do you wanna end the
This is awesome.
we may need to shut down everyone, but we'll come back on.
I think we're looking good.
No, we're not.
I'm trying. They're coming in as fast as I can get them out.
I'm doing it as well. We gotta shut it down. Let's-
Okay, I'll shut it down.
All right, we'll be right back. Our item is a minor plan modification, so if we get cut off, we'll just have to adjourn by necessity. If the board's okay with that. I know we
So
were
are we
at the.
moving on to the next agenda item?
Yeah, we were at the location of the septic, so at 8:30. We resumed discussions for 35 Wallace.
Okay.
And Mark, if I know that you didn't get a chance to make any of your comments, are you, do you want to make a quick comment or?
All my comments are the same as everyone else. I had concerns about the boathouse that's within 25 feet of a wetland, actually within the wetland. I thought the septic system could be moved further from the pond. I was concerned about the steep slope going down to the 25-foot buffer at the back of the house, to the back left of the house. The slope of the driveway, there's been grading that's been added to the driveway coming off of the house. The driveway that goes down to the pond. And so if that's gravel, I have concerns about runoff off of that slope. And the comment was that I don't think we can say that it's intermittent based on last year's drought designation.
Okay, thank you. Eric? Anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment just to see if there was any additional lawn area being created or.
No, there's no expansion of the lawn proposed. The lawn is staying within the footprint of current lawn.
Okay, Steve, you're okay for
I
now,
had
so,
one
yep,
other comment I was gonna make before we got bombed.
sure.
Oh, the driveway is getting paved. Is the path to the boat ramp getting any paving?
No.
Not to my knowledge, no.
All right, so where that driveway kind of ends, I know because the path kind of breaks off of there. There's no pavement from where that breaks off down to the water.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and this is a public hearing. Anyone have any questions or concerns in regards to this filing? Okay, all right, I'll entertain a motion to continue to May 17th at 7 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion's been made by Mark,
Seconded.
second by Katie Grace. Roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark Mangum,
Eric Harris, aye.
Tracy Sharkey, aye. Okay, so we'll see you on the 17th and hopefully we can get everything addressed by then after the site walk.
Great,
And
thank
then
you very
more,
much.
if you wanted to go out, you go out at your leisure to do any more site walking.
Is there any staking done?
Nothing to this point unless the commission would like to see something staked.
The house,
Definitely want to see the boathouse staked.
the house and the boathouse is staked, I believe.
Okay, yeah, we'll double check just to make sure they're staked before the sidewalk.
Guys, just shoot me an email, Mark, and then once, if it is or isn't it, and I'll let them know.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you too.
Thanks.
Joe just scanned me. I thought there was another person coming in.
Start here?
Okay, so quickly, the next item is the request for modification to the 49 and 53 Woodland Road Drive crossing DP number 143-0973, 0946 and 0947 possible votes. So if someone could quickly tell us the changes that you're requesting, that would be wonderful. And name and address, please.
Sure. So I can start. This is Jack Nealon with Deer Crossing Development. I also have our 87 Elm Street in Hopkinton. I also have Dave Marquand on here, who actually made the modifications on the plan. And basically, we are just keeping the limit of work the same. We're just shrinking down the driveway size from 18 to 12.
Jack, hang on one second, Jack. Cable, can you give me screen sharing?
Yes.
Sorry, Jack.
And could
No, that's okay.
Could you put everybody else in a waiting room, like a limit or something, so I don't have to worry? Because this isn't a public hearing.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
That would make I hear all these beeping noises. So,
All right, I enabled the waiting room. Hopefully that takes care of it.
thank you.
So hey, Dave, I can even let you kind of run and explain your new
Sure.
rendering here.
Good evening. So what we did, very simply, is we made the driveway, reduced the driveway width from 18 feet to 12 feet. The right-hand side of the driveway is exactly the same as it was previously. We moved the left side in 6 feet. The culvert length is right in the middle. It was 27 feet, is now 21 feet. So bottom of wall to bottom of wall is 21 feet. Limit of work is exactly the same as it was previously. The utilities, proposed utilities are now outside the proposed driveway, just to the left of the wall. The driveway is intended to be paved like it was before. The profile of the driveway is a little flatter than it was previously. It's the culvert size went from was previously 6 wide by 6 high, is now 3 high by 6 wide. So basically we just, we dropped it. The size of the height of the culvert has been reduced by 2 feet.
So you've improved and reduced impacts in a few areas.
Yeah, so you can see that the hay along the left-hand side, that little bump out down, there you go, is already installed.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly the same, but we're moving everything in from left to right.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
culvert gets smaller, driveway height gets smaller. That
Yeah,
was the reasoning.
that sounds good.
Yep.
Steve, any comments?
No, I think it's good, but
Yeah.
the impact.
Katie Grace? Still muted?
Thank you. Yeah, I was just making sure that the it's a box culvert. The width in height did not get decreased in size at all.
The width is exactly the same.
Mhm.
The height got smaller.
The height is smaller because the grade is lower, though.
The open ratio needs to be 82%. We're at 83.3%, so we're okay. The water is only going to get 5 inches high in its worst storm. The height of the inside of the culvert is just under 3 feet, but we've maintained the width at 6 feet.
Okay, yeah. So because I noticed they were saying that the grade of the driveway was lower, and so that
Yep.
makes sense that the box would be lower to accommodate that. I was making sure it's the same depth. It's still letting that same amount of water through.
We're only going to have 5 inches of water that goes through the culvert.
Mm-hmm.
The
But that's
open-
the same as it was before.
That's exactly right.
Thank
The
you.
height,
Yeah.
the height of the culvert before was 4, and
Yep.
now it's 3.
Okay.
That's Yep.
Thanks.
Mark?
Is that more than one culvert or is it just one single segment of culvert?
One long culvert, 21 feet long.
Comes in 3 sections though, and then it's fastened together.
3 sections. Okay,
Yep.
thank you. And you said it's 3 feet by 6 feet?
Inside diameters, yep, is 3 feet high, 6 feet wide.
Is that an open bottom?
Nope, it's a closed bottom with earth in the bottom.
Okay. So if there's earth in the bottom, so it's the final height is less than 3 if there's earth on the bottom.
No, the final height is 3 with 13 inches of height underneath it. So the culvert is actually 4 with a foot of earth and 3 foot opening.
Okay.
And Eric?
So what is the structure material of the culvert? Is it metal, concrete, or?
It's a concrete culvert.
Okay.
Board, I think that this is an improvement from what was previously issued. So I'll entertain a motion to consider the proposed changes as minor plan changes to the 3 orders listed previously, the 3 DEP numbers.
So moved.
Motion's been made,
Second,
second by Mark, a roll call vote.
KG Dudley, aye.
Mark Manjamai.
Eric Harris, aye.
And Tracy Sharkey, aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Thanks, you too. See if your hair was a little fluffy there for a second.
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened of all that Zoom bomb?
Okay, board.
I have one procedural thing.
Yes.
So they don't, Joseph, all those lots, the 6 lots on Joseph Road, I actually did the erosion control inspections. It looks pretty well. But I reached out to them for a review inspection fee for my time to go out there over the next 4 months. And if that's okay with the commission, we can just move forward with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
All right. Thank you for everyone for their patience. Thank you, Cable. We appreciate
You're
you. That was a little scary. But I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Oh.
So moved.